Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the Prince George's
Should
County
be good
FY
to go.
2023 budget listening session. We'll get started in just a moment. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the Prince George's County FY 2023 budget listening.
Okay, we're live.
Thank you for joining the FY 2023 budget listening session. We'll get started in just a moment.
Hey, Renard, we're still in practice mode.
All right, we should be good to go now. Thank you.
Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Middleton. I'd like to welcome you all to the Prince George's County FY 2023 budget listening session. Before we get started, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items. If you're signed up to speak tonight, please make sure your Zoom screen matches the name you use to register. This will ensure we can identify you and allow you to speak during the session. In order to allow everyone the opportunity to present testimony this evening, a time limit of 3 minutes has been imposed on all speakers. A buzzer will sound with 30 seconds remaining of your allotted time, so please be considerate of others and wrap up your comments when you hear the signal. For the hearing impaired, a sign language interpreter and closed captioning have been provided. To access the closed captioning feature, please click the CC button at the bottom of your screen. Additionally, Spanish interpretation is available on Zoom by clicking the language channel at the bottom of your screen. If you are watching on YouTube, this feature is not available, but you may access the Zoom broadcast with the credentials provided in the description of the YouTube video or on the county's budget website. Now, before we begin with our testimony, I will pass things over to our County Executive, the Honorable Angela D. Alsobrooks.
Good evening, Prince Georgians. I want to thank all of you for joining us as we begin our FY 2023 budget process. We're all here tonight to make sure that our county budget reflects our values and priorities for the future of this community. I appreciate each of you for taking time for this very important discussion. I want to thank our Director of the Office of Management and Budget, Stanley Early, and his entire team for leading us in our budget process. I know that all of them are as excited to hear from you as I am. What I can tell you is, despite the hardship of COVID-19, we are very optimistic about the outlook for the future of our county. We're poised to grow. Our population, our economy, the number of jobs available to our residents, and the wages that they pay are all growing. Almost everywhere we look, we find reasons to get excited about the future of our community. So in our FY 2023 budget, we want to make sure that every resident is an equal partner in this time of growing opportunity. Over the past year, despite a significant and costly focus on combating COVID-19, we made tremendous progress. We moved forward with police reforms, launched our new economic development initiatives along the blue and purple lines, and worked to protect affordable housing, all while breaking ground on 9 new schools and rolling out vaccines to residents across the county. Our work on these projects remains a high priority, along with our other proud priorities. As we have in years past, we want our county's budget to reflect our proud priorities that we laid out during the first year of our administration. Our 6 categories of proud priorities include education, youth development, quality of life, economic development, healthy communities, and safe schools. Across these categories, in partnership with our Prince George's County Forward Task Force, our police reform work group, and community stakeholders, we created 175 policy recommendations for our county to follow. So far, 151 of those policies have either been completed or are ongoing. We're pleased with our success so far, but there's still a lot of work to be done. As I mentioned, Prince George's County is poised to grow in the future, not just in terms of population, but in terms of opportunity. Equal partnership with our residents means equal access to all that our county has to offer. In the FY-23 budget, we want to build our success in previous years while addressing the needs of our county agencies. We will not only focus on several of our proud priorities this year, but we'll also focus on forming even stronger partnerships with all of our residents. We want to make sure our county stays beautiful and work to address the long-standing beautification challenges that we've faced in the past. The recent uptick in violent crime has been extremely concerning, which is why we're focused on public safety programs that will help to reduce violent crime. We want our county to be attractive as a place to do business, which is why we're focused on making our permitting process more efficient while modernizing our procurement process and reducing the time to hire new employees. These 3 advancements together represent a laser focus on making county government more efficient. And last, we want to stay ahead of changes caused by climate change in our county. That means a greater focus in our FY-2023 budget on flooding and stormwater management. Our focus this year on these issues will maximize the impact of our county budget. While we're continuing to strive forward on our other proud priorities, some of the goals that we've outlined here are our chance to get ahead of the curve during a time of growth in Prince George's County. Through our county budget process, we have a chance to hear from county agencies regarding their budget priorities for the coming year. But right now, we want to hear from our residents. We represent you and the services that our county agencies provide for you. And part of this partnership we have with all of our community involves listening. We want to understand how you want your tax dollars to be used. Your voice is a critical component in our budget decisions, especially because of the way our resources are divided. We have to be very targeted with our funding to ensure that we're meeting your needs and providing a government that is efficient and effective. Your feedback and suggestions are essential every year, and we look forward to hearing from you on the FY-2023 budget process. Our county government has worked hard to anticipate bottlenecks and choke points that we will face as we grow. We need your input now to ensure that we're connecting every resident of Prince George's County with the services they need. We have a lot of work ahead of us and a lot to accomplish this year. Next year, when we meet again, I look forward to celebrating all of the successes we achieved through this budgeting process. Once again, thank you all for being here and for being engaged with your county government. Your input makes a difference and helps us stay engaged on the issues that matter most to Prince Georgians. By working together, we will all be equal partners in this time of growth and opportunity. With that, I will turn it over to our budget team to go over some logistics so that we can get started. Thank you so much.
Good, good evening. Uh, I'm sorry. Good evening. I wanted this Stanley Early, OMB Director, and we've been listening. We'll be listening, taking all your information and put it into our processes. We've been listening to all the agencies. We've been putting all the information together, and we look forward to this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Early. Now we will begin to hear from some of our residents. Please be mindful that we need to have your screen name match the name that you use to register. So if you're signed in on a relative's name, please make sure you're able to change the screen name to match the one that you use to register so we're able to call on you. Right here, the first person I see on my list who's listed as an attendee is Venetia Ali. Venetia, we will begin. I will hit the button that says allows you to talk. And as soon as I do that, as soon as you're able to start talking, we will start the time and you will hear buzzing sound at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, just to let you know that you have 30 seconds left. So give me 1 second, please. Okay, Venetia, you are on the line. Please unmute yourself and feel free to start talking.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Venetia.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm not even going to take the whole 3 minutes. I just want to thank you for the opportunity and to say that this time last year I was on the meeting and I was able to introduce the idea of supporting sickle cell warriors in Prince George's County because the resources are very, very limited. And so this year, I can say that me and a few sickle cell warriors have gotten together and we started a Prince George's County Sickle Cell Association. And so we are just getting started and we'll be looking forward to the support of our Prince George's County leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ali. We will currently looking for another participant who is signed up to speak. Give me 1 moment, please. We have a Lisa Smith signed up to speak. Lisa, give me 1 moment. I'll allow you to talk, and your time will begin as soon as you begin your testimony.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. I want to express my appreciation to you for the county's previous financial support for the Bowie Business Innovation Center, Bowie BIC. The county support has helped us to leverage existing county business assistance and counseling resources, as well as to launch new initiatives that increase the growth and economic impact of county businesses, particularly in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Bowie BIC, an award-winning hub for business acceleration, which provides pathways for growth for Prince George's County businesses, is requesting continued funding in FY-2023 of $100,000. Bowie BIC is a nonprofit organization which has been based at Bowie State University for nearly a decade. Today, Bowie-Bic is the hub for the largest concentration of business scale-up resources in the county. In FY 2021, a record 1,541 small businesses, technology companies, and government contractors access programs through Bowie-Bic. Business interest in our new programs in response to the COVID-19 pandemic has been strong, and our engagement with businesses just in the first half of FY22 indicates that we will exceed our FY21 number of businesses assisted. Prince George's County support has been a key element in the growth of our continued economic impact in the county. In November 2021, for the second consecutive year, the Baltimore Business Journal ranked Bowie-Bic the 6th largest business accelerator program in the Baltimore region and the largest business accelerator in Prince George's County in terms of clients. The 87 clients involved in our core business acceleration program and 8A accelerator program reported more than 590 jobs and $80 million in revenues in calendar 2021. Bowie-Bic programs continue to attract national recognition too. In April 2021, JP Morgan Chase and Company's playbook for improving diversity and inclusion at entrepreneurship centers was released. The playbook recognized the 30 most promising programs in America and cited Bowie-Bic's 8A Accelerator program as one of those promising programs. Bowie-Bic also leverages its county funding to attract public sector support from partners such as the City of Bowie, the Prince George's County EDC, FSC First, and Maryland Technology Development Corporation. County support also helps us attract a growing number of corporate sponsors, such as Amazon, M&T Bank, Capital One, Clifton Larson Allen, and the Business Accelerator client companies themselves. These partnerships provide additional funding for Bowie-Bic's work to accelerate the development and economic development of the county's growth-oriented technology companies and underserved minority and women-owned small businesses. These corporate connections also ensure that our programming is market-driven. Bowie-Bic is a key entrepreneurship partner too with Bowie State University. The opening of the new entrepreneurship living learning community at Bowie State in August 2021 and the relocation of Bowie-Bic operations to this building have already created new opportunities for Bowie-Bic to work collaboratively with Bowie State to create new experiential learning opportunities for students and to stimulate increased student and alumni entrepreneurship activities. With continued county financial support, we can directly contribute to the county's economic growth through the accelerated business development of the companies countywide that use our services, as well as Bowie-Bic clients, Bowie State University student and alumni businesses, and the jobs generated by all these businesses. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate it. The next person we have on our list is Brent Swinton. So Brent, just give me a moment, please. Okay, Brent, if you could just unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
All right, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, thank you. Greetings to the County Executive, the Honorable Angela Alsobrooks, and to all the guests gathered here. My name is Brent Swinton, and I am grateful for this opportunity to extend my thanks to you for allowing me to participate in this conversation and also to affirm Bowie State University's support of the Bowie Business Innovation Center, also known as Bowie-Bic. And I'm here to affirm BIC's request for continued funding of $100,000 in the FY-23 county budget. You just heard from the executive director of Bowie-Bic, who listed the many accolades that this unique and innovative partnership here on the campus of Bowie State University is garnering. I want to underscore the fact that the Bowie-Bic contributes directly to the county's economic growth by accelerating and scaling up the economic impact of technology and business and government contractors here in the county. I see those people come to our campus every day, and they do interact with our students to help inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. Having this partnership located here on the physical location of the campus of BSU and the continued active engagement with our university community alumni, students, and faculty does in fact create a unique and practical learning environment and entrepreneurial focus for our students. So again, with everything that the Executive Director, Ms. Smith, just listed, I do hope that you will take in consideration continuing their funding for $100,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swinton. We appreciate it. One moment, please, while I find the next speaker. Okay, we have Charlene Traylor. Charlene Traylor, I'm going to press.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, good evening and thanks for this opportunity to speak. I just wanted to come on and hear all the great things that are happening in my county. And I just had some questions related to, what's going on in terms of the infrastructure development in areas surrounding the district, in particular the Coral Heights, Capitol Heights, and District Heights area. I've been residing in this area for about 4 years now, and while I see some development, I feel like the area, has a lot of potential, but really would like to advocate for resources and money to be put into this area, as there's a lot of failing infrastructure. There are food deserts, and especially there's very few healthy alternatives in terms of, places to eat in the area. So I was just curious and just really wanting to hope that, some of those funds get allocated to this area.
Thank you so much, Charlene. I'll just jump in for a moment and tell you that you are spot on in terms of noticing what a great opportunity we have along the Blue Line corridor. You should know that the areas you mentioned are along that Blue Line corridor. And one of the county's key priorities is providing infrastructure support and a real plan, a vision of developing that whole corridor, actually from Morgan Boulevard all the way down to Capitol Heights Metro. Some of the areas in between that you mentioned, you'll notice that you will see serious investment there. We've been working with the state of Maryland to get transportation dollars, as well as dollars to create a complete streets overhaul of that area that will include bike lanes and really create multiple modes of modality. We're working on also the Central Avenue Connector Trail, but you'll notice investment along those areas, and we'll notice also real targeted efforts at bringing to that area, which is a food desert, grocers. You'll notice Market Fresh Gourmet is opening in the Hampton Park Mall area. Good Food Market has already opened in the Sea Pleasant area, but we have really targeted efforts in terms of resources and investment in those areas that to this point heretofore have not had significant investment. So we're excited about the Blue Line corridor and listen out. We're going to continue to provide updates through information that we'll be giving to the community, but please know that we share your optimism about the opportunities that exist along that corridor. And thanks for listening to everyone.
Thank you.
And our next speaker will be Sergeant Calvin Charles. So Sergeant Charles, give me one moment. Sergeant Charles, whenever you're ready. Sergeant Charles, are you there? Sergeant Charles doesn't appear to be. So we'll move on. Again, I just want to remind everyone, if you had signed up to testify tonight, please make sure your screen name on Zoom matches the name you used to register for its event. You should be able to rename yourself if you hit the More link on Zoom and find the button to rename yourself. Okay, the next person we have signed up is Sydney Deigel. Sydney, please give me a moment. Sydney, you whenever you're ready. Sydney, you're unmuted, so whenever you're ready to speak.
Hey, Ryan, it seems like Sydney's having some technical issues. I'm gonna check who's up next.
Okay, we'll just give Sydney a moment.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Sydney, were you speaking just now?
Yeah, that's me. This is Sydney Daigle. Sorry about that.
It's very low.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can barely hear you, so it's still very low.
Okay. Could you go to the next speaker and potentially loop back to me? I think I need to sign out and then log back.
Okay, we will make sure we come back to you then.
Thank you. Sorry.
No worries. The next person we have on our list is Kalila Denny. Kalila, just give me one moment, please.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome.
Whenever
Thank
you're
you
ready.
for this. Awesome. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Kalila Denny. I'm with the Denny House Incorporated. And I'm here today because I'd like to, one, just say thank you for your priorities always being in line with those vulnerable populations in the community. We serve transitional age youth, returning citizens, and I'm here today because we'd like to see your continued support for these populations reflected in the budget, specifically around returning citizens and services to those returning citizens being funded for transitional housing, wraparound services, things of that nature, as well as for funding in the budget to support organizations like mine with professional development services so we can do a better job at serving our community and do it well. One of the opportunities that was afforded to us a few months ago, we are a part of the Bridge Center as Adams House Partners. And they were offering a training, a LSCMI training that would allow for us to do a better job of capturing information for our clients and, you know, being able to use that information for reporting. But the budget they had would not allow for them to pay for or allow the partners to participate. It was only for their staff. So if there was more funding in the budget available for capacity building for organizations like mine who are serving those most vulnerable populations in our community, such as returning citizens and our transitional age youth, specifically towards transitional housing, workforce development, and things along those lines. So as we know that for returning citizens to be successful in their return, they need stable housing, they need employment and family support. And a lot of them who are coming out without that family support are finding themselves homeless. And we want to bridge the gap and be that support to help them re-enter society successfully. So with that, I say thank you once again for all that you're doing. And I will also share that with my experience on the Reentry Advisory Board with the Council for Prince George's County, I did see that there was, before COVID, $1 million in the budget for services to support reentry. And I know COVID has a lot to do with that number decreasing, which, you know, is out of all of our hands. But as we move forward in 2023, it'd be great to see that number return, if not greater, in support of reentry services. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Denny. Reentry services are prioritized in the budget this year, so you'll notice that. But thank you for all your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, we will try to get Cindy Daigle back on the line. Just give me one moment, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect. You can hear
Oh, thank you. Sorry, that was my worst nightmare. So thank you so much for the opportunity to testify this evening. My name's Cindy Daigle, and I serve as the director of the Prince George's County Food Equity Council. We're a local food policy council that helps residents grow, sell, and choose healthier foods. I'm here this evening on behalf of our partners and members to respectfully request funding for the following priorities. First, we ask that you fund the programs and positions recommended by the Prince George's County Food Security Task Force. In particular, we ask that you invest in a food security director position to coordinate the many public, private, and nonprofit stakeholders working on improving food security in our county, and that you also invest in a public benefits coordinator position to increase enrollment in federal food and nutrition assistance programs and related anti-poverty and social safety net programs. Second, we ask that you provide financial and infrastructure support to the many food pantries and other food assistance providers operating across our county, many of whom run their operations entirely with volunteers on what could definitely be described as a shoestring budget. We're worried that without reliable and sustainable support, they may have to close their doors. We ask that you also make investments in cold storage space and cold storage vehicles or refrigerated trucks to serve them as well. Finally, they need direct grants to purchase food for their clients. Almost all of our providers receive donations, but they need funding to supplement those donations with produce and culturally relevant foods. Third, and finally, we ask that you continue to provide and consider expanding the funding that supports existing successful food access programs across our county. In particular, we ask that you continue support for the Maryland Market Money Program, a double value coupon program at farmers markets, and provide allocations for increasing the matching dollars for the Summer SNAP program, as our state has allowed us to increase the number of youth participating in Summer SNAP this coming year. Since 2013, our Food Policy Council has been working closely with county agencies, your administration, and stakeholders to build a food system with our residents that we can be proud of. A food system that does things like supports food and agriculture business development. We worked on zoning incentives for grocery stores. We've improved permitting processes for farmers markets, and we've ensured that moving forward, county restaurants will serve healthier kids' meals. Over the past 2 years, as many organizations have, we've pivoted our work to help coordinate the emergency food assistance response in our county in light of the skyrocketing rates of food insecurity that we've seen caused by the pandemic. We've held countless meetings with our food assistance providers to hear their challenges and co-create solutions. And as a result of those conversations, we've secured funding from private sources to place 3 cold storage trailers at food assistance locations across our county. Our staff has supported the development of the Food Security Task Force recommendations and support, and we've just learned a lot about what's going on related to food security. And our work has repeatedly underscored the need to invest in human and fiscal food security infrastructure in our county and for increased food investment purchases, whether that be money for bulk purchases for small food pantries or for household resources like matching dollars for the Summer SNAP program. The pandemic has and will continue to have a lasting impact on the economic security of many of our county's families. And unfortunately, a need for food support is still present, and we anticipate it being that way for quite a while. We appreciate your leadership and your continued support on this issue, and we hope that you'll consider our request. We'll follow up with detailed written testimony as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our list is Jana Parker. Ms. Parker, I will bring you on in just a moment.
Thank you. Ryan, it's pronounced Jana Parker.
Oh, I apologize.
No worries. So thank you so much. I'm just on to encourage the budget to reflect the following priorities. To reemphasize the speaker who just came before me, Food Security Task Force, those priorities to go through assistance to the food pantries within the area, as well as increased funding for clean energy initiatives and environmental protections throughout the county, particularly in areas where there seem to be racially insensitive or racial harm in an environmental capacity. Increased grants and funding for programs that would allow for seniors to age in place financially, as well as in regards to the physical upkeep and maintenance of their home. Funding that supports reentry citizens, as well as the unhoused populations throughout the county. And increased funding for programs focusing on the youth that come through the county so that more students and more young adults can take part in that, as well as increased funding for the educational budget for Prince George's County. There has been statements that we are going to be underfunded based on the choices made by Governor Hogan. So we just want to make sure that there is no lack of funding coming into the educational system for our students, for our parents, and for our teachers. And I'm just encouraging that those budgetary priorities be emphasized this cycle. And I'm done. Kept it short and sweet for y'all today.
Thank you. All of the priorities you actually outlined are in the budget as priorities. So we're in agreement with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Our next speaker is Michelle Jones-Peeler. Please give me one moment, please.
Good afternoon, County Executive Alsobrooks and staff. My name is Michelle Jones-Peeler. I am a member of the Board of Directors of the Villages of Campus Way Homeowners Association, located on Campus Way North in Mitchellville. Our community, Dunbarton Hills, is one of 5 associations that make up the entire community of Regent Park, or 1,082 households. Our community would like to thank your administration for working with us in partnership by completing several outstanding service requests, even during a time of pandemic. The 2 that I'd like to highlight, first, pond restoration. 2 of our retention ponds were recently serviced where previously had not been restored for years. We hope that your administration will continue to practice industry standards of dredging and restoring retention ponds every 5 years. Lack of maintenance promotes environmental hazards, putting the public at risk with the accumulation of litter, high standing water, creating a breeding ground for mosquitoes and the spread of disease. The second thing, the pavement of Campus Way North. The county's curb and rehabilitation project finally resolved excessive potholes that existed along Campus Way North with paving in the summer of 2021, thus maximizing safety and the value in our community. Our association would like to continue working in partnership with your administration to address the following concerns of our community within fiscal year 2023 budget. First, clean community. Our community understands that local government can only do so much in maintaining a clean, litter-free community, and as residents, we must do our part. Several Regent Park community volunteers currently walk the area and remove on average 5 contractor bags of litter per week along Lotsford Road and Campus Way North. We look forward to leveraging available programs such as the Department of Environment's comprehensive cleanup program and seasonal cleanup programs. We are in dire need of your administration to continue improving hauling services, as such services have compounded the litter problems in our community with excessive spillage from the haulers that occurred during refuge collection day. Such haulers operations are counterproductive to your wonderful vision of a clean Prince George's. Next, upon approving the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, the FY-23 proposed budget, our 5 associations request that your administration address the 8-foot wooded wide hiker biker trail along Ball Hill Branch Trail. The sidewalk composed of pressured treated wood is in dire need of repair and presents a hazard to the public who enjoy walking neighborhood trails. Several service requests have been forwarded to the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and unfortunately, no progress has been made to date. Adjacent Regent Park.
Ms. Jones Peeler, we're coming on time.
Okay, Regent Park Tot Lot is also in dire need of lighting to deter loitering, drug use, and other nefarious activities. The last thing I'll just say is we are also in dire need of tree trimming and sidewalk repair as they present trip hazards to our residents. And I appreciate the opportunity to come before you to present my community's concerns. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jones-Peeler.
Our next speaker is Katrin Conroy. Please give me just one moment to add you to the queue. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Katrin Conroy. I'm a Ward 8 resident, homeowner, healthcare provider, and voter. I have participated in the evaluation and repeal of dog bans based on breed or breed-specific legislation in other counties and cities across the country, and I'm here today as a local taxpayer to voice my opposition to this fiscal waste in my own county of PG. I'm here hoping that the leaders of our wonderful county are wise and caring enough to join the majority of the country and recognize that while the initial legislation created decades ago was intended for public safety, this law has not, will not, and does not increase our safety and should be ended. For the last 25 years, this county has conservatively spent more than $13 million confiscating, sheltering, and often killing house pets based on how they look. We have heard so many incredibly important initiatives today who could use that money to make our community better for so many populations. The American Bar Association, the American Kennel Club, the American Veterinary Medical Association, the CDC, the National Animal Control Association, the National Canine Research Council, the Obama administration, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Justice, and numerous other experts all agree that BSL and laws that prohibit dogs based on appearance do not reduce dog bites or enhance public safety. They have proven repeatedly that bans on certain types of dogs are ineffective and a waste of public resources, that breed is an irrelevant factor in ensuring the health and safety of a community, and that fears and generalizations about how an animal may behave based only on its looks are based in myths and miseducation. The American Bar Association has urged governmental bodies to adopt comprehensive, breed-neutral, dangerous dog and reckless owner laws that ensure due process protection for owners, encourage responsible pet ownership, and focus on the behavior of both dog owners and dogs, and to repeal any breed discriminatory or breed-specific provisions in the law of that locality. PG has taken a great step in the right direction by enacting dangerous dog laws. These laws are much more comprehensive and fiscally responsible, focusing on the behavior of a dog rather than how the dog looks, and repealing the breed-specific ban while continuing to enforce, modify, and strengthen these laws that assess dogs based on behavior rather than looks will lead us living in a safer, stronger community with more responsible pet owners, friendly, happier, safer dogs, and much less wasted money. The millions of dollars spent on breed-specific ban and enforcement is a waste of our taxpayer money. I ask that you please repeal our BSL and use this money in a manner: food security, anti-poverty, transit, housing, schools, re-entry services, any initiative to actually improve life in our county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Albert Smith. Give me 1 second, please. All right, whenever you're ready. Albert Smith, are you there?
Hello.
There you are. We can hear you.
Hello.
Can you hear us? We can hear you. Mr. Smith?
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
We'll begin. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm a small business owner, Army veteran, homeowner here in PG County. Recently, I was in a motor vehicle accident in the county, and the care provided by both EMS and the University of Maryland Capital Regional Medical Center was quite horrible. It could have used better funding from other sources. Our city council wants to increase public safety, but leaves things like our healthcare subpar while wasting millions of dollars trying to run out dogs based on how they look. I'm here today to voice my opinions as a tax-paying citizen who's experienced firsthand the poor healthcare available in our county, encourage you and the council to stop wasting money on ineffective laws and legislation targeting dogs, and instead to spend that money to do something to improve our healthcare. The breed-specific legislation or pit bull ban maintained in this county is a ridiculous waste of time and funds.
Mr. Smith, are you still speaking, or did we lose you?
Have repeatedly proven over the last decades that restricting a dog based on appearance is ineffective and increasing.
Mr. Smith, you're going in and out. We're having trouble hearing you.
Reduce the wasted funds to stress our animal control staff, shelter it, and workers and volunteers. Let's have legislation based on fact instead of myth and baseless fears. PG County should repeal their breed-specific legislation or pit bull ban immediately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lisa Burnham. Give me one moment.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Burnham, a resident of Accokeek. Concerning how we set budget priorities and fiscal responsibility, we need to establish a participatory budgeting process that allows residents to directly vote on where our tax dollars should be spent. Currently, there are millions of dollars in emergency rental assistance funds that have not been dispersed, but hundreds continue to go evicted. We need to release that money immediately. We need to start utilizing community workforce agreements in our capital infrastructure construction projects. Concerning the environment, we have significant suburban sprawl in South County. We need substantial investment in our mass transit system, making it possible for more people to commute and reduce our carbon footprint. For the safety and well-being of everyone, let's stop enabling environmental racism, stop providing tax incentives to the 4 power plants surrounding Brandywine. We need to transition to renewable energy immediately and decommission those power plants. Our county ranks F in air pollution, and we're a majority Black county and have the highest concentration of dirty power plants. This is a stain on the county leadership, especially in District 9. Concerning education and public infrastructure, we need to invest in county-sponsored healthcare plan. This will particularly benefit small and emerging businesses. It will also improve the health outcomes of everyone, regardless of legal and employment status. We need to invest in a sustainability office to oversee countywide climate resilient infrastructure goals outlined in the Climate Action Plan and whatever climate priorities have been set by the school board. We need to work with food vendors to provide our young scholars with whole and nutritious food options and establish a nutrition council that can evaluate the menus offered by those vendors before entering into a contract with them. South County needs healthier food options as well through grocery stores with a broader range of fruits, vegetables, and healthy restaurants. And we need to increase funding for mental health and social services at all of our schools and in the use of school resource officers. Thank you so much for holding this forum. Bye-bye.
Our next speaker is Robert Baynard. Give me one moment to add you.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Rob Baynard, and I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Prince George's Provider Council, a membership organization of more than 30 agencies that provide an array of supports and services to Prince George's County residents with an intellectual and/or developmental disability. The Provider Council membership is committed to providing high-quality services that assist people with achieving their goals while helping to promote inclusion of all people in all communities throughout Prince George's County. I would first like to thank you for your ongoing support of the supplemental grant that has been awarded by the county over the last 5 years. The supplemental grant has assisted our agencies in tremendous ways, helping us to increase wages for the important work that our direct support professionals do each and every day while having a great impact on the lives of so many people with disabilities throughout Prince George's County. I'm coming before you tonight to respectfully request that our grant be renewed for another 5 years with a starting amount of $5 million in fiscal year 2023 and a cost of living adjustment increase of 6% each year after. Through surveying our membership, we found that the county supplement has had very positive impacts over the years for providers' ability to build capacity and continue the work of supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Prior to the pandemic, our member agencies faced critical staffing shortages, and the pandemic has only exacerbated those shortages while creating new challenges for us. We have regularly gathered data related to the impact of the supplemental grant, and we have seen just how important it has been for some of our members. Together, our agencies employ over 2,000 people and provide millions of hours of support to more than 2,300 people in Prince George's County. These DSPs are the backbone of our organization, and we've seen the number of DSPs across our agencies fall while watching the hours of services needed rise. We understand that the pandemic has ushered in a new era related to employment and that our industry is not the only one impacted. However, when we lose staff, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities lose services and supports that are critical to their daily lives. We continue to see severe staffing shortages, with one of our member agencies' vacancies recently climbing to over 150 open full and part-time positions. We are in the process of collecting more recent data related to all of our agency's vacancy rates and are happy to share that with your office. However, past rates have been consistently in the range of about 25% to 35%. This has led to numerous capacity issues for youth transitioning out of high school, not being able to find a provider that is able to accept them into services because they don't have staff to serve them. In closing, the Provider Council thanks you for all the support throughout the years and the opportunity to share additional information tonight. We look forward to your continued support and hope that you will be able to find room in your budget to increase our DSP supplement to $5 million for fiscal year 2023. We are always happy to meet with you and or your staff to discuss any concerns or questions that you may have. And as always, we would be very happy to invite you to visit some of our agencies to see the services in action. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mark Huffman. Just give me just one moment.
Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for this opportunity to speak. My name is Mark Huffman. I'm the Interim Executive Director at Laurel Advocacy and Referral Services. For 34 years, we provided critical services like food, eviction prevention assistance, and long-term housing to low-income and homeless families in the greater Laurel area. In response to the pandemic, we adapted our operations in order to keep our staff and our clients safe while still operating in person so that we continue to provide these vital services to community members who are on the brink of poverty. We're very grateful to Prince George's County for the financial support provided for LARS in response to the pandemic. However, more funding we believe is needed to meet the ongoing increased number of requests for food and emergency financial assistance that the pandemic has caused. Increased funding from Prince George's County will ensure that LARS has the capacity to meet this increased number and higher level of need for safety net services. We therefore respectfully request that LARS FY-22 non-departmental award be increased to $150,000. A word about the breadth and the depth of the need. Before the pandemic, clients coming to us for financial assistance would typically need just a portion of 1 month's rent in order to get them through an emergency. Now the typical rental assistance client is 4 to 6 months behind on their rent. Every day, our staff receives calls from individuals who never needed our services prior to the pandemic. Over half of those we served in FY21 were coming to us for the very first time. We've expanded our emergency services team to meet these needs, but we are struggling to keep up with community members' requests for rental assistance and for food. As of this week, we have appointments booked through the end of March. I believe we have risen to the challenge posed by the pandemic. In FY21, we prevented 130 evictions with financial assistance, totaling nearly $260,000. Which compared to the year before was a nearly 40% increase in the number of individuals and families we helped, and a nearly 90% increase in the total funds that we dispersed. I think it's also important to note that the community members we assisted were disproportionately people of color. In FY21, almost 90% of the households we served were headed by a person of color. In order to avoid pushing the most vulnerable members of our community into a deeper crisis, our organization requires and requests additional funding to meet the demand for emergency rental assistance and other safety net services. We therefore respectfully request that LARS FY22 non-departmental award be increased to $150,000. Thank you very much for your continued support of our work and for your commitment to improving the outcomes for all of Prince George's County citizens. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Celestina Edmonds. Celestina Edmonds, are you there?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me now? Great. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. And I'd like first and foremost to thank County Executive Alsobrooks for her service to our county. And also, I pray that everybody who's on this evening are doing well in the midst of our continuing issues with COVID. I am a retired educator with over 40 years of experience, so my concern has been and always is our children and the educational system. In reading the statistics, I see that Prince George's County, we are at the bottom 50% of Maryland public schools. We have below average graduation rate of 79% as compared to 87% statewide. So there are still a myriad of issues that are impacting our school system. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to work in DC. I've also had the opportunity to work 30 years in Montgomery County. And it's unfortunate that I'm continuing to see disproportionality issues, low academic performance, and the persistent achievement gap, which again is just very painful to see after this so many years. It's still dealing with some of the same issues as to when I first became an educator. My question is this. There are 6 critical issues, essential issues that I would like, if possible, County Executive Alsobrooks to address. 1, I see a dire need for increased vocational training at the high school level, STEM at all schools, regardless of the social economic level of the school. There is a critical need also for evidence-based reading instruction in general, but specifically if we could get on board reading specialists, is critical that children know how to read and are proficient by the time that they reach 3rd grade. Number 5 is there's a critical need to hire and retain highly qualified staff at all levels, and also the need for parent engagement. I'd like to go back real quickly to mental health. I know someone spoke briefly about that. And there is, again, as I've indicated, these are all needs that I've seen over the many years of my service as an educator. It's not always funding that is needed to address some of these critical needs. Within mental health is something that in my many years of research and my service as an educator again, and also through my ministry, I've seen that children, disproportionate African-American children, when they are brought up in single-family homes and there's the issue of fatherlessness, that is something that must be addressed through mental health counselors and behavioralists. That is always the elephant in the room. But again, over 40 years of working with children and adolescents, I know that is number one priority in order to address the anger and the depression that we are seeing within too many of our young people. My question for Alsobrooks also is, how are these aforementioned areas being reflected in the budget? And I want to just say, thank you for this opportunity for speaking. And I'm retired, but I would be more than willing to offer my services to help in any way possible to help improve the school system. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Edmonds, for all of your service as an educator, and thanks for tuning in tonight. You raised quite a few issues: vocational training, STEM, evidence-based reading, highly qualified educators, parents' involvement, mental health. These are all issues that have been studied and really discussed with Maryland's blueprint. And I don't know if you're aware of it, Maryland's blueprint for Maryland's future. And many of these issues are outlined. And as you know, there is historic funding that has come with it that recognizes that jurisdictions, especially like Prince George's County, need additional funding to be focused laser-like on the classroom, reducing class sizes, doing what we can to fund pre-K education, really giving our students the sort of start that they need, but also providing the mental health care that is needed, providing also funding so that we can attract and retain highly qualified educators. So these are all issues that are encompassed in the blueprint. But you should know also that the county has really prioritized educational funding. In fact, 62% of our budget goes to the school system every year. And 82% of the budget before anything else happens goes to education and public safety. So we do fund our priorities, most especially we fund education. I see Stan Early has turned on his camera. He may want to add something regarding how it's reflected in our budget, but you should know that we do prioritize funding for education. You know, the county executives responsibility where education is concerned, first responsibility is in terms of funding education. And you should know I have prioritized throughout education, not only operationally, but you know also that we this past summer broke ground on 9 new schools for Prince George's County. In the middle school area, we are now preparing a second set of schools that will be middle schools. And we have also in traditional route high schools. So we are prioritizing education. We trust the curriculum and all of those decisions to the educators, the men and women who serve in our school system every day. The county executive does not decide the curriculum. And I know you mentioned, for example, evidence-based reading. Those are all issues that we trust Dr. Golson and trust with all of the other educators in the school who make those curriculum decisions. But we are working to support the school system. And Stan, I don't know whether there was something you wanted to add to this, but Mrs. Edmonds, we do certainly appreciate it. If you don't, Stan, no problem. But I just saw I saw your camera come on. But thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Edmonds. But you can rest assured we've increased educational funding every year. And we also fund above maintenance of effort. So we are really making sure that this is a priority for us. But we thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there opportunities for volunteer?
Always. You know what? We have folks on the line. Ryan, someone, I don't know whether you can get Mrs. Edmonds' information so we can have someone to contact you. We absolutely would love to have you to offer us your expertise and your experience with our children.
Thank you so much. Be blessed.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Ms. Edmonds will definitely make sure to put a note down to contact you in the next day or two.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tony Smith. Just give me one moment, please. Tony Smith, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hello, my name is Tony Smith, and I'm the president of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. On behalf of the system, I would like to extend our thanks for the county's continued support. We are grateful for the funding that the county is committing to the library's budget for FY-23. The most valuable asset to any organization is its employees. Research shows, and some of us know firsthand, that when we pay staff well, treat them fairly, and help them feel valued, they are more productive and loyal. So they work harder, they feel more invested, they have better customer interactions, they tend to show their mood when they interact with customers, and they take fewer sick days, less work-related stress, which improve their health. In the past year, our library system has lost over 1/6 of library staff. That's people in 42 salary and hourly positions who have left voluntarily. Unsatisfied employees don't usually stick around long. Instead, they leave for new jobs, and we're left scrambling for someone to fill their spots. Many of our best and brightest are leaving for opportunities in neighboring jurisdictions because the library is not funded in a way that permits us to meet basic compensation incentive requirements as outlined in our collective bargaining agreement. Employee turnover costs aren't line items in the budget. However, they have a very real and potentially harmful effect on our bottom line. Great people are smart and know their worth. Therefore, in addition to funding staff for the Bladensburg branch, employee benefits, and partial funding for cybersecurity, the board requests that the county please commit $1.2+ million in additional funding from the library's budget enhancement requests to cover essential staffing. critical cybersecurity infrastructure needs, and operations to meet community needs in FY23. Please help the library thrive in the long term with the increased funding necessary in FY23 and a plan for sustainable funding for the years to come. We are Prince George's proud and have the potential to have a world-class public library that drives economic opportunity and attracts new residents to live, work, and play in Prince George's County. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jackie Orleana. I apologize if I mispronounced.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Orellana, and I'm the Wellness AmeriCorps Program Manager for the Latin American Youth Center, Maryland Multicultural Youth Centers, and a proud Prince George's County resident. I am delighted to be here today to share with you the importance of investing in our county's young people in the upcoming budget through the wonderful services LAYC has to provide to our Prince George's County residents. Today, I want to share the transformative power of positive youth services like LAYC through the story of one of our youth whose life has been impacted for the better by being part of our organization. The youth is a Prince George's Public Schools alum who attended Willingworth Middle School and graduated from Bladensburg High School. A proud Salvadorian, they were introduced to LAYC slightly after high school graduation and joined the organization's AmeriCorps program. In the beginning, they were very accustomed to remaining in their comfort zone. They had a very different perspective of life and were close-minded to millions of possibilities lying ahead. With plenty of distractions at their reach, it was only a matter of time challenges and obstacles overcome by this youth. The one thing to always remain consistent and supportive in their life was LAYC. This youth grew and developed themselves thanks to the support of the LAYC and wanted to help others youth do the same. They gained the skills and confidence to become an asset pillar to the community, becoming a mentor for youth that have been there where they've been. After serving 2 AmeriCorps service terms, they transitioned to become an LAYC case manager, career specialist, and community school coordinator. They are now a manager, a leader, and a trailblazer among the community and their peers. They remain humble and compassionate for the needs of others and always strive to serve the LAYC way, which is going above and beyond. If you have not guessed it yet, this youth is me. I am a true story of the impact LAYC has on the youth, family, and community members enriched by our services and resources. It is because of this organization that today I can truly make a difference in someone else's life, just like it was done for me. As I mentioned, I now lead the AmeriCorps program that I started in, the same program where endless opportunities and doors were open to me, and the most importantly, that I had staff believe in my abilities and continue to strive. Currently, nearly half of our AmeriCorps members are former participants in LAYC programs, former after-school students at our middle schools, or current seniors at our high schools. This is the impact of the LAYC, the transformation, empowering, and supporting young people with positive youth development and raising them up as leaders for their community. We currently serve over 1,000 youth and 3,000 community members annually, with services focused on our most vulnerable youth in the areas of housing, workforce, education, wellness, and food insecurity. As the county budget is set and priorities are established, I urge you to consider increased funding of $100,000 non-departmental grant for the LAYC to help shape the future for our county through the lives of its young people and their family. These services are more critical than ever with our youth facing unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19. Thank you for your consideration.
Our next speaker is Kenneth Cohen.
I hope I'm unmuted and that you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay. County Executive Alsobrooks, members of the council who may be listening, Mr. Early, and staff. My name is Kenneth Cohen. I'm the president of Prince George's County Audubon Society. PG Audubon protects birds and the places they live throughout the year, especially here in Prince George's County. We're an all-volunteer organization, and all of our meetings and our activities are open to the public without charge. In 2021, we were able to emerge from COVID and restart our bird walks. We lead a monthly walk at the Fran Euler Conservation Area and at Governor Bridge, and 2 monthly walks at Lake Artemisia. We'll start commencing our annual cleanups at Fran Euler and Governor Bridge in March. One of the advantages of COVID was going to Zoom meetings where we were able to attract speakers from throughout the country. For example, last May, we had Michael O'Brien, one of the nation's leading experts in shorebirds, give us all a talk about shorebird identification. Prince George's County Audubon supports the county in its environmental initiatives. We submitted a comment supporting the county's climate action plan, and we desire to be a partner in the county's efforts to reach out to the community on a one-to-one basis to help homeowners with their gardening. We put our money where our mouth is. In the last year, we've trained over 40 gardening consultants who have conducted over 125 visits free of charge to area residents to help them plan gardens based on native plants, and that will be very helpful to our native wildlife and birds. We've reviewed Prince George's County's list of recommended plants and updated it. We also stand very firmly with Prince George's County in its environmental actions. For example, we strongly opposed, and we're part of the coalition opposing maglev. We contacted the Office of Management and Budget with respect to the proposed sale of NASA's Area 400. We said, don't accept that recommendation, when our congressional delegation sort of was extremely ambivalent in its response. We were part of the coalition to save Guilford Woods from development. We speak up. We're not quiet. We participate in Lights Out DC and Lights Out Baltimore. We help maintain tree swallow boxes in Laurel. And this year, we're going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary. And we have some difficult requests for you, Executive Alsobrooks and council members and Mr. Early and staff, and here they are.
Mr. Cohen, we're coming up on time.
And I am coming up on ending. We'd like to expand our partnership, and we'd like you to include us more in what you're doing. We want to be more a part of your government and help you accomplish your goals. We want to continue our relationship with the Parks Commission. I forgot to mention how our assistance to the Watkins
Mr. Cohen, we're
group.
at time. Mr. Cohen, we're at
And
time.
last and all, we'd like you to join us on a bird walk and come to our anniversary event at Lake Artemisia in September.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. You know what, if you can, if we can get Mr. Cohen's information, I accept your invitation to go on the bird walk. I would love to. So if you would just allow us to get your information, we will follow up with you. But I'd love to attend and to support, continue to support your efforts. But thank you so much.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you.
Yes, I would love to accept. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Janet Gingold. Janet Gingold, you're on the line.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. My name is Janet Gingold. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Prince George's County Sierra Club. We thank you for your commitment to integrating climate action and resiliency planning across county government portfolio. And we ask that the budget for fiscal year 2023 provide resources needed to implement the priority recommendations in the climate action plan. We know that there are many competing priorities, but we can't afford not to act on climate. If we don't make the needed changes in our energy systems, information systems, buildings, transportation, and land use practices, we will face greater costs in years to come, along with worsening of our health disparities and social inequities. We need to do as much as we can, as fast as we can, to increase energy efficiency, to facilitate a just transition to renewable energy, and to increase community resilience. The blueprints for action in the Climate Action Plan describe feasible short-term priority actions that will decrease costs in the long term as we face more excess heat days and extreme precipitation. The first 5 recommendations about changes in county operations will make it easier to accomplish the recommended actions for decreasing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing climate readiness. Building county capacity to plan and implement climate action will require funding for professional development for county staff, consultants, and new staff with special expertise. To lead by example and ensure transparency, the county will need better information systems for tracking, monitoring, evaluating, and reporting about climate action plan implementation and infrastructure projects. Meaningful community engagement will require investment in public outreach, social marketing, and educational opportunities for residents and businesses, including library resources and community college courses. Accelerating the transition to renewable energy will require workforce development to help residents and businesses transition to new green jobs. Funding will also be needed for new analyses that include climate criteria to inform better land use decisions. Necessary change to address the climate crisis requires investing in more sustainable systems that make it easier for people to make more sustainable choices. Your new program for curbside food scrap pickup and more user-friendly pickups for bulky trash is an example of a systemic change that can make a real difference. It will take education and outreach to get full participation, but the investment will pay off with less methane production in the landfill, cleaner neighborhoods, and less illegal dumping. Change is hard, but the pandemic has shown us how, with leadership and effective communication, people can change their habits and adapt to new norms for their own well-being and for the collective good. We thank you for your leadership as Prince George's County moves forward with necessary change for a more just and sustainable future. Thanks.
Ms. Gingold, thank you so much for what you shared. And I just wanted to mention that climate, that energy efficient and the environment are in our priorities that we're covering this year. Stormwater management, there will be a number of others. You mentioned one thing I wanted to just ask, especially for the Sierra Club's support and continued engagement, especially in the area of education. As you know, you talked about the food scraps program and some of the other changes that we've made, but to your point, it does take all of us to help to educate our neighbors and to provide information. So we really look forward to having the Sierra Club work more closely with us. I know that Director Crooms has been reaching out and will reach out to the Sierra Club, but we really do welcome your engagement and your partnership.
We're ready to help.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Patty Kim. Patty Kim, you're on the line.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Good. Good evening. I am Patty Kim of District 3's University Park. I am the Vice Chair of the PGC MLS Foundation. We work closely with the library to provide philanthropic support to expand the library's services and ability to meet customer needs. First, thank you, County Executive, for your continued support of the library, and especially for providing the 9 staff positions for the new Bladensburg branch to open in FY-23. Working with the library, our foundation has witnessed their staff's unwavering commitment to serving Prince Georgians. Even before COVID, the library has been regularly asked to help other county agencies fulfill their mandates to support residents. And during COVID, the library has really stepped up, offering food pantry distributions, summer meals for children, COVID vaccine clinics, and COVID test kits. Our county's population increased 12% over the past 10 years. However, the library's budget has remained relatively flat. Cuts to funding has decreased public access hours. It has also stretched the staff thin without compensation incentives. That means no cost of living allowances and no merit increases, which were promised in their collective bargaining agreement. So what happens when staff is stretched thin? They leave. 1/6 of staff voluntarily separated in the past year. So we're facing a crisis of retention and recruitment. We've lost many of our brightest talent because they've moved on to positions in neighboring jurisdictions that do not underfund their libraries. Of the large library systems in Maryland, PGC MLS is the lowest funded at the county level in the state. We cannot maintain a world-class public library when we have 271 fewer staff than our neighbors in DC, who serve a population that is less by over 200,000 people. We have 70 to 160 fewer staff than neighboring libraries in Maryland, while having the highest proportion of population served per staff member. You, County Executive Alsobrooks, can change these numbers on our county's favor by funding the library with the asking amount of $876,157 for 10 essential staff positions, cybersecurity, infrastructure, and operation needs in FY-23. The library generates over $85 million in economic value each year and is a huge attraction for families. If we want more families moving into our county, we must invest in supporting a well-funded library. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Joseph Jakuda.
Good evening. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for holding this session. My name is Joseph Jakuda, and I'm a resident of Mount Rainier, Maryland. In about 2 weeks, the County Council will receive a climate action plan to adopt. This plan was developed in concert with staff from the Department of Environment and others, and will be a huge leap forward, turning Prince George's County into an engine for green jobs and lead to wise long-term investments in our infrastructure. I personally was honored to participate on the residential advisory group for this plan. As this plan comes, though, we do need to make some investments in our future in the fiscal 23 budget. I in particular support the creation of a position of a climate officer for Prince George's County. We need a position that can work cross-departmentally, such as they have over in Montgomery County, to ensure proper adoption of this plan when it is adopted. We also need to invest heavily in the FY-23 budget in building retrofits and energy management systems for Prince George's County-owned buildings. Wasting energy is a waste of taxpayer dollars, and we need to invest in our future. We also need to invest heavily in FY-23 budget in electrifying our non-emergency electrical vehicles immediately. This will also save taxpayers money in the long term on fuel maintenance costs while improving our air quality. I also implore you to support any requests that come from Prince George's County Public Schools in regards to energy retrofits, electrification, and other such environmental benefits. I do also want to say that I would like to echo the statements made by Ms. Daigle, Ms. Parker, Ms. Burnham, and Dr. Gingold. They also spoke very highly of these types of investments. And finally, I want to say we need to invest our budget in our future wisely. It will make our children, Prince George's, proud. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Next speaker is Tommy McKillop.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Tommy Macula. I am from Upper Marlboro, and I have heard some plans for maybe returning to the twice-a-week trash collection. And I am here to tell you that it is a very bad idea, and for multiple reasons. And overall, and kind of philosophically, I just don't want to live in a community that has this Cadillac trash collection service. But we have students who attend school in dilapidated buildings, and we have many other needs, as we have been hearing today. Also, want to make just some specific points on this issue. First of all the complaints, I mean, because I've heard some of the complaints. There are some loud people who don't like change, and they continue to complain about this. But all of those complaints that I've heard, they can be very easily addressed without and cost effectively without a twice-a-week collection that will cost us a tremendous amount of money. So first of all, you can provide second trash can or larger trash cans without any questions asked, because that seems to be one of the issues. You can also educate people about the recycling and composting to reduce trash, and you can encourage HOAs to adjust their rules so that people don't need to store their trash cans in the garage. That was something that, as I was HOA president, we made the change when this change happened, and that solved any issues in our community. And just overall, the all other major jurisdictions in the DC metro area, they and really everywhere else in the country, communities, all of these communities manage just fine with once-a-week trash collection. So I'm quite puzzled as to why we can't do the same that everybody else seems to be able to do. And there was a survey before this change happened to once a week that most residents never use the twice-a-week service. So it really is a really wasted effort. Also, the reality is the trash collection process, the actual process of collecting trash, it creates the most litter in our residential neighborhoods, if you pay any attention to the process. So when we moved to the once a week trash collection in my community, because I'm one of those people who actually walks around the community picking up litter, I noticed there was a noticeable reduction in litter when this change happened. I also, there's been many mentions about the climate change action plan, and it will be really counterproductive to go twice a week trash collection now. I mean, from the climate perspective alone, those huge trucks, they get horrible mileage. And so that would be very counterproductive to try to do a climate action and then go back to the twice a week collection. So in summary, I'm just really hard pressed to think of a more wasteful use of our local tax dollars than the twice a week trash collection. So I hope you resist it. Please use our tax dollars for higher priority needs. We have many of those, as we've heard today. So thank you for your time.
All right, so you know what, Mr. Michaela, I got good news. I totally hear your concerns. I've considered all of these issues, and these are complex issues, but I have good news for you. We are able to provide the goods and services that our residents feel are important. You know, trash waste recovery really is important to a lot of families. We saw a 33% increase in the amount of trash collected, especially during the pandemic. And so I totally understand the families who indicate that it has been a problem for them to only have the opportunity, depending on your family size, to dispose of waste once a week. The good news is we've been working very closely with our Department of Environment. I believe that they have come up with some real conscientious solutions that I'll be happy to roll out very soon to the community. I think you too will be very pleased with the way that we come back with the 2-day-a-week trash. And so we'll look forward to really presenting that to you. It's a whole clear the curb concept. It does involve food scraps. And so I think you'll be very pleased with that. And we can do that while building schools. As I indicated earlier in the evening, we actually, when you talked about the dilapidated schools, we don't disagree with you there as well. We have a long-standing issue. Prince George's has the second oldest facilities in the state, but we broke ground last summer on 9 new schools in Prince George's County that we are building. We're moving forward on our plan to enter to the second phase of that school construction program as well as a part of our public-private partnership. But look out for 2-day week 2.0. Meaning we don't intend to go back to exactly the way that we collected before, but I believe it's possible to provide the services that our residents need and deserve, and the services, and also to do important things like build schools. But I agree with you that it has to be done in a way that is forward-looking, a way that is environmentally conscious. And I think you're going to be pleased with what we come up with. But thank you so much for your engagement, and we intend to stay connected with you and with all of our other residents who have expressed their concerns in this area.
I look forward to hearing the new plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adam LaRose.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent, excellent. Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. Great to see you. My name is Adam LaRose. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Public Policy at the Capital Area Food Bank. It's been such a pleasure to work with you and your administration as we've responded to the pandemic. During this crisis, we've closely worked with the county and your team to innovatively address food insecurity. We helped to create the foundation for the Stand Up and Deliver program by delivering about 30,000 food boxes to 10 sites in the county over the course of the first 120 days of the onset of COVID-19. As you know, we launched our curbside groceries truck in June of last year that is currently visiting 6 sites with low food access throughout the county. And ultimately, since March of 2020, we provided nearly 32 million meals to upwards of 150,000 food insecure residents in the county. The food bank is also a proud member of the county's food security task force. As you well know, the task force was established to address issues related to food security, nutrition equity, and food system resiliency. The recommendations recently released reflect excellent insights and leadership by a range of stakeholders who have supported recovery and response. A foundational recommendation in this report that the food bank would like to bring to your attention is the need to increase resident participation in federal nutrition assistance programs like SNAP, WIC, and free and reduced school meals. There's a lot of room for growth to leverage the federal and state investment of these programs where county residents who are eligible are not participating. For example, we estimate in our 2021 hunger report that 17% of SNAP eligible residents in Prince George's County are not enrolled in the program. And this leaves an estimated $17.2 million in federal dollars going unused annually. To leverage these dollars and ensure that more residents are receiving the benefits they need and deserve, it is recommended that the county create a position or designated workload to increasing and synergizing participation in programs like SNAP. We request that this position includes an additional focus on leveraging other anti-poverty programs like the Earned Income Tax Credit, Medicaid, and TANF. To reduce hunger, we must look at it at its root causes and address the myriad of reasons why people must stand in line for food. We request that this position be funded and created as a staple of the commitment to leverage federal dollars and ensure that those struggling with food insecurity are getting all of the social safety benefits they need and to take steps towards a brighter future. Another recommendation we have is to create a local income supplement for low-income residents. This could come in the form of replicating the Working Families Income Supplement in the neighboring Montgomery County. This supplement will leverage the federal and state's investment through the Earned Income Tax Credit, and annually it would put hundreds of dollars in the pockets of the nearly 75,000 working poor residents who would benefit from this credit, many of whom are our clients, many of whom are one bad day, one job layoff, or one medical diagnosis away from depending on the food bank, our partners, or even the Stand Up Deliver program. This would be a legacy program for your administration, and there is no doubt our clients would benefit. It would enable our ability to serve. And like that of the Great Recession, we fully anticipate this recovery will take years, if not decades. These 2 recommendations would take innovative and impactful action on food insecurity and its root causes. And we urge you to use and leverage all the funding at your disposal to support our clients in need. Thank you so much for your consideration and your leadership throughout this crisis, and we look forward to working together as we continue to navigate response.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank the Capital Area Food Bank for the tremendous support you've given to the county, most especially during the pandemic. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Susie Misley. Apologize if I mispronounced. Susie Misley, you are on the line.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Susan Misla. I'm a resident of Prince George's County and have been for 26 years. I'm here tonight speaking as an employee of the Prince George's County Library System and as a union shop steward representing McGeo Local 1994. Thank you, County Executive Alsobrooks, for taking the time to listen to me for the next few minutes. I feel like I've already received encouragement and support for the library system tonight. Thank you. But what I'd like to talk about is the library as the hub of a community, both virtually and physically. It is a place where all are welcome. It is a space for building a community. Tonight you heard about all that PGCMLS does in the community: story times, author visits, workforce development, outreach to immigrants, mental health events, programs that celebrate diversity, and so much more. We believe in the library and we work every day to provide you with the reading materials, programs, services, and integrate ourselves into the community. We have staff who select books, others who drive those books to the branches to deliver them, administrative staff who work behind the scenes. In your neighborhood branches, there are staff who greet you when you drop off and pick up your books. Librarians offer classes and programs and welcome you and help you and your children pick out books to read. Your librarian will be there for you and your children. Author Neil Gaiman said that everything changes when we read. As our board president, Tony Smith, mentioned earlier, we need more funding though. Currently, the library and the union are in negotiations. Library employees need our raises funded, plus new staff positions funded. I've gotten to know my colleagues around the 19 branches, around 340 of us, most of whom live in our county. Many are struggling right now. They're taking second jobs in order to pay the bills. One person works all night and then goes to the library for his 8-hour shift in the morning. Another can only afford rent by having a roommate. Another works 80 hours a week, 2 full-time jobs. These are not the stories of a few, there are many, and inflation has eroded our paychecks. The other part of the story is the turnover rate. Raises are needed to retain and recruit. And you've heard that multiple employees have left our library system. And that not just loses our quality library staff, but has the effect of lowering staff morale. The public library is indeed the hub of the community, but in order to maintain the presence and to bring our residents together as a community to enjoy the benefits, we need our committed and competent library staff who are known to their customers to be paid fairly. Please provide the funding we need to allow them to support their families and pay their bills with their library salary. And since I think I have a few seconds, I'd like to quote
we're at time.
Gaiman, a fiction writer, who says, "Words are more important than they ever were. We need to communicate and comprehend what we are reading. People who cannot understand each other, cannot exchange ideas, cannot communicate." Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Tamara Davis Brown.
Good evening, County Executive Alsobrooks. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the FY 2023 budget for Prince George's County. We know that the county's budget, a large chunk of it goes to education and probably second, public safety. I want to speak tonight on two other departments, Department of Public Works and Transportation and DER, come up and provide some recommendations that I think may be helpful to your office. Department of Public Works and Transportation, we have, as you know, a lot of roads. This is a big county, and we really need to add more funding to that department to ensure that our roads are not only kept clean, and that of course goes to DER, but are safe and passable and drivable. There's a lot of potholes. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Our community has put in to have sidewalks repaired, and it's been 2 years since my request, and I believe my neighbor down the street has requested probably 2 years before that, and we still have not gotten our sidewalks repaired. And I know a lot of that falls under DPWT. There's just a great need to maintain what we have, plus you are building new communities. Of course, I live in Clinton, Maryland. You're continuing to build new communities, particularly in the southern part of the county, and all those roads have to be maintained. So I'm just on behalf of that department, just saying that we need to make sure that we reserve more money for that department. With respect to DER, I am so excited about the new opportunities to compost, to place bulk items out on the curbside for collection on a weekly basis. And I hope that our residents will take advantage of that. I've already bought my own little small compost for the kitchen to help with that, and can't wait till February 14th to get here to start doing some of that, clear the curb. However, as you know, bulk trash is not available to apartment dwellers and renters. And so my recommendation is that we require landlords to provide bulk trash for their renters at least once a month, maybe once a quarter, and that they pick up the tab. It's not something that the county should pay for, but that they pick up the tab as a service to their renters. And hopefully that will help keep Prince George's beautiful, and that we can be Prince George's proud and eliminate some of the terrible dumping that we're seeing here in our community, particularly in District 9. I'm hoping that we can take that back, and that's something that we could do without increasing, obviously increase the budget, but there's a revenue source for that, and hopefully solve the problem of some of the dumping. And then the last thing that I want to say is this morning I had the unfortunate opportunity to participate in the press conference yet again for another life lost on Maryland 210. So the recommendation is to reevaluate the county's memorandum of understanding with the state troopers for all of the state highways in Prince George's County, so that the tax dollars that we're spending at the state level can be used to patrol our state roads, and our county police officers, the great men and women that serve there, can concentrate on this uptick in crime. So those are just some of my recommendations, and I appreciate you listening.
Thank you so much. I did take down all of the suggestions. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for participating.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker is Melissa Schweisfuth.
Okay, am I unmuted?
We can hear you.
All right, thank you. So first of all, thank you everyone for your after hours time. I know you all had long days. I love the ASL interpreter and also the Spanish translation. Thank you for making this accessible. Thanks to your families for loaning you for the evening. I love seeing pictures of Angela Alsobrooks' daughter, and I'm sure you all have beautiful families and loved ones and some hangry pets. Anyway, I appreciate there are so many important needs, yet limited funding, and a desire to keep housing affordable by not increasing property tax and related resident costs. So I know you've heard a lot of demands, a lot of diverse asks. I'm gonna throw some more on there while reiterating some. So I really asked the county to, properly fund Vision Zero and safe streets. It seems like almost every day, I follow the police Twitter, they announce a fatal crash almost daily, including it involving a driver or pedestrian. It's really sad. We really need improved data and mapping with public access. Montgomery County has a really fantastic Vision Zero map that any of the public can look at all the data, make their own maps. We've got a pretty limited story map that shows only 2 kinds of accidents. I would love to see more data out there. I'm on a street design team in Hyattsville, and we would really love to be able to have more of that county data to help us, propose design and enforcement improvements in Hyattsville, for example. Ramp up data-driven design improvements, for example, complete streets, bike lanes, sidewalks, signage. I'm really glad to see that the county put out a map for safety comments, and love to see some of those implemented, and also increased enforcement, such as drivers running crosswalks. There's a lot of attention paid to asking pedestrians, you're giving us lights, giving us vests, but drivers continue to run through crosswalks. There needs to be signage that saying crosswalks, stopping at them is the law, and actually enforce them. I really appreciate all the comments on funding food security and homeless, but I do urge the county to continue to look for opportunities to leverage private sector funding and nonprofit and faith-based partnerships, scaling the work you've already done in these areas to make all of our dollars go farther. Environmentally, I echo all the requests to invest in the climate plan. Again, making sure that we fund the implementation. It's beautiful on paper. I love the leadership. I understand that our county council has voted in favor of it, but it must be fully funded to achieve the critical impacts the plan calls for and that we need. And in that work, please ensure prioritization of programs for lower income homeowners and renters, such as conservation retrofits and rebates. I love the inclusion and the aspect of that plan, and really hope that continues to be important. Now, I realize that the parks have their own funding budget, but that they do receive some funding from the county. And if there's a way to earmark funding for trail development and maintenance, targeting trails that are important transit routes like Northeast Branch and Paint Branch, that would be fantastic. And also earmarking funding for a modern customer service system similar to 311 Click. It's pretty onerous to email parks, then you have to call and follow up in a ticket number. You feel like your requests fall in a black hole. I don't get any of my requests handled unless I email people I know at parks, and most people don't have those contacts. I also I wanted to comment a bit on the county shelter, the county animal shelter and animal services.
We're at time.
Okay, thanks. I'll send the rest of the comments. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Next speaker is Yuri Borovsky.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes. Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I want to start off with thanking all the fellow residents who called in to share their concerns this evening. Strong communities are built from engaged communities. I particularly resonate with the resident who mentioned the lost life on a state route and the sidewalks that are not repaired on her street for years. And then the subsequent resident who spoke about tax dollars needing to be focused on road safety. Tonight, we hear a lot of good things about county government partnership with the community. We read about good efforts in the Alsobrooks Administration 2021 annual report mailed to residents. Meanwhile, the multiple unresolved 311 tickets, mostly with the Department of Public Works, regarding basic services that produce no tangible improvements, provide a different firsthand experience to many residents. Our household pays higher property taxes despite living in a much more cheap and humble home than our friends and colleagues who live in the district in Nova, Northern Virginia. but it seems our tax dollars are not enough to deliver services. Therefore, we ask that the limited and high dollars, tax dollars, are focused on 3 fundamental county services: maintaining county infrastructure, providing safety to families at home and on the road, and growing the tax base. We ask that the county commits to maintaining local roads and residential streets free of potholes and updates the old patchy pavements which reached end of their designed infrastructure life. We ask that our public safety is both well-funded but also held accountable to recruit motivated officers who are allowed to serve and protect families in their homes and on the road. We had a town hall with the District 5 residents and Chief Aziz, but many questions remained unanswered at the end of the town hall. We still here to wait to hear from Chief Aziz. We ask that the county works brings, we ask that the county continues to work to bring businesses to all parts of the county, particularly the central Prince George's. And this does not include big businesses that put more Amazon and other warehouse trucks on our roads, but this does include small businesses that deliver excellent services locally. This includes accessible grocery stores, and this includes basic community gathering places like coffee shops. In our Largo priority economic area, we have just 2 such places to patronize, and yet both are Starbucks chains. We have members of the community who would like to spend a few dollars to support a few local jobs, and all the while to catch up with their neighbors. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to ask Ms. Alsobrooks' administration on official position for the Master Plan of Transportation 2035. We noted that there were no representatives to any of the 3 community meetings last week that were hosted by the Prince George's County Planning Department. We hope budget resources can be committed to help partner in implementing that plan produced by this other agency. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You were asking about transportation and the county's plans. You should know that we have been working very closely, especially with the state regarding transportation and infrastructure, submitted priorities to them. And in fact, I just met with our Secretary of Transportation last week. During our legislative session, we have a number of critical transportation requests, including about $16 million. I heard a speaker probably right before you, and I know that Tamara Matthews-Brown talked about this as well regarding safe streets, complete street treatments, and there are a number of other transportation and infrastructure needs that we have along 210 and other areas in the county, Route 5, Arena Drive, and others that we are working with the state to get funded. So we are working very diligently to get those priorities funded. And we've been working, as I mentioned, not only with the governor's staff, but we also have submitted those asks during this legislative session to be funded in Annapolis.
Thank you, Ms. Alsobrooks, so much for bringing our state tax dollars back to us here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Martha Ainsworth.
Hi, good evening. I'm Martha Ainsworth, and I live outside of Bowie. I'm a lifelong resident and a graduate of Bowie High long ago. One of the benefits, before I get to my points, I just have to say that one of the benefits of these hearings is to hear more about the valuable and inspirational work being done by a lot of the community organizations. And I wanted to thank them for all they've been doing during these difficult times. I'm here for one issue only. I want to applaud the county for rolling out curbside food scrap collection countywide to unincorporated areas. And I live in such an area, and I can't wait to get my bins, my countertop bin and the toter for the driveway. I want to make sure that we allocate enough resources in the budget to get everyone on board countywide, even beyond the February 20th deadline. This will conserve space in the landfill, reduce methane emissions, create a valuable soil amendment. But we shouldn't stop there. I hope the county won't. For unincorporated areas not served by county trash collection, we need drop-off sites for food waste. And this can also help people in multifamily units. And we need incentives for food scrap collection at schools and in the multifamily buildings. We also need to encourage food donation before it comes scraps. And thanks very much to Sydney Daigle for her comments on food security earlier this evening. But the aim should be a food-free landfill before the end of the decade. That's my message. I hope there'll be money for it. And thanks very much to the great folks at the Department of the Environment for all they've been doing. And thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Our next speaker is Amy Progoski.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. My name is Amy Progoski. I've been a homeowner in District 1 for over 21 years, and I have volunteered at the county animal shelter for over 16 years. Next week marks a sad day for Prince George's County. February 9th is the 25th anniversary of the county's discriminatory, arbitrary, and expensive pit bull ban or breed-specific legislation, also BSL. The pit bull ban is unnecessary because the county already has a dangerous dog law that covers all breeds. The updated Animal Control Code, CB 46-2019, went into effect 2 years ago. Unfortunately, it was not funded because we are still not enforcing it. The money spent on BSL would be better spent enforcing the updated Animal Control Code, more spay-neuter education and grants, and making the county a place where all are welcome so families don't move out or have their beloved pet taken from them. I volunteer with the dogs labeled as pit bulls every Sunday at the shelter. I walk them, get to know them, promote them to rescue groups, and even do transports. For the past 4 years, I have also performed behavior evaluations of the shelter dogs, both the pit bull types and the other dogs that are available to the public for adoption. I have done hundreds of these evaluations. Their behavior testing that we use is the same for all breeds. I have kept records on the evals I've completed and can say with confidence that the vast majority of pit bull type dogs do very well in their evaluations. Sometimes they do better than the dogs that the shelter classifies as adoptable. On January 16th, for instance, we evaluated 7 pit bull type dogs, 6 of them passed. On January 23rd, we evaluated 7 more, 6 of them passed. We also evaluated 5 non-pit bull type or adoptable within the county dogs. On the 23rd, only 2 of them passed. This is proof that looks or breed labels do not dictate behavior. And the claim of a council member that there is just a sense that pit bulls are very dangerous dogs is unfounded and only based in speculation and not facts. Yesterday, there were 96 stray dogs in your shelter. 37 of them were pit bull type. How can anyone call the ban a success and keep it in place if, after 25 years, 40% of your shelter's stray population is the banned breed? BSL is a waste of resources. For 25 years, the county has used our tax dollars to house, feed, vet, and then euthanize good dogs who pass their temperament tests, even though they are as adoptable as the dogs who are not bound in the county. BSL is the county's expensive and dirty little secret. At the county's hearing in late 2019, when council voted to keep it in place, several council members said there needs to be more public discussion on the topic, yet none of the council has made an effort to discuss it publicly. I invite you and the council members to spend an hour with me and the other volunteers at the shelter some Sunday to get to know the dogs you're condemning. Until BSL is repealed, I'm sorry, but I will not be Prince George's proud. Thank you for your time, and please stop wasting my tax dollars to vilify these good dogs.
Our next speaker is Adrian Atizado.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. Good evening, Council Executive Alsobrooks, council members, and of course my fellow county citizens. My name is Adrian Atizado. I'm a Navy vet and a longtime resident of Cheverly in District 5. I'm actually here tonight to ask the administration to allocate a portion of the budget to connect residents to parks, trails, recreational facilities, and programs in our neighborhoods and communities. There are recommendations from residents to Prince George's County countywide bicycle and pedestrian network plan that includes access to the Anacostia waterfront. Now, the waterfront amenities include the Bladensburg Marina, the park, and about 20 plus miles of the Anacostia River Trail that runs along the Anacostia River. Now, this trail is a gem for the county, in my mind, that offers residents the ability to enjoy the outdoors by walking, running, and biking from the Bladensburg Marina south all the way to the district, branching north to Bethesda and northeast to College Park. Now, unfortunately, there is no safe connection from Cheverly and the surrounding communities to the Anacostia waterfront. Now, this gap is particularly felt by families with children and bicycle commuters who would otherwise leave their cars behind to enjoy the waterfront and the trails, to ride to school and work, and explore communities and businesses along the Anacostia River. There are clearly many important needs across the county being raised during this listening session tonight, but I do urge this administration to help solve this problem for residents of Cheverly and our surrounding communities. Again, thank you for your time and attention and for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Our next speaker is Leah Schuler.
Hello, my name is Leah Schuler. I am a Prince George's County resident of Bowie, and I am also a PG County volunteer for the shelter. And I bring two issues to the forefront. One is BSL, which is breed specific legislation, which does not work whatsoever. And also another issue is crosswalks, because I have dogs of my own. I am an animal lover. I'm going to speak a little bit more on BSL. BSL does not work. I have seen it across the United States, and so many cities and states are getting rid of BSL because they understand that it does nothing for anyone, none of its residents, and it takes good dogs out of loving homes. And honestly, I think we really need to face this issue and fix it. We need to bring it to the public in the forefront and talk about it, figure it out, and enforce the actual dangerous dog legislation we already have on the docket and make that an actual enforcement. The next issue I want to bring up is crosswalks and how a lot of drivers do not respect pedestrians walking legally through a crosswalk throughout the county. I walk my dogs every morning about 3 miles, and I have almost been hit just about every morning because drivers, one, are texting and driving, two, just flying through crosswalks, not even actually looking before either they're going straight or making a right turn, any or have you, different ways. But I would really appreciate it if not just Bowie City, but Prince George's County police officers would be able to be out more and look at crosswalks or have some ability to monitor the crosswalk so there would be less fatalities and I'm not having to play Frogger every morning because someone doesn't want to yield to a pedestrian. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamal Walker. Mr. Walker, are you there? Mr. Walker, are you there? Mr. Walker? Okay, we will move on. Next speaker is Belinda Queen.
Hello, can you hear me? I guess you can hear me. I can see the interpreter talking. Good evening, Madam County Executive, to the council members and to the residents. I am the Belinda Queen. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm just going to get right into it. First of all, I want to say that we're asking for better funding for public works, for beautification of cleaner streets, paved roads, well-maintained roadways also. Then I want to say we're asking for investment of services for true living, affordable senior housing. So many of our seniors are struggling and they need affordable housing services. When we talk to our seniors also, another thing is the property taxes. A lot of seniors are on fixed income. Their property taxes are really hard. I had seniors tell me today that they're struggling to get their kids to even help them keep up the property taxes. We've had seniors who have paved the way for us through this county. We have to better serve them and find ways to help them save on their property taxes. They deserve to stay into their homes that they're invested in for years. Next, I would like to say more programs for our youth. You did a great job. Thanks for the book you sent. And over the last couple of years, Madam County Executive, you've done a great job with finding funds for programs for our students 14 to 22. But I ask that we think about programs that we can do this 365 days a year. Our youth are hurting. For some reason, more than ever, families are struggling and money is needed. They need job training. They need that money. We need to find funds to keep them out of trouble, keep dollars in their pocket, which will invest back in our county and be able to do it 365 days out of the year, not just for 60 or 90 days during the summer. I also would like to say, and this is definitely not last but not least, fair wages is so important to me for all. And I've heard the library talk about more money. We know our teachers, our bus drivers, and everybody want more money. But Prince George's County needs to be at $15 an hour. It is so important that we are paying our residents fair wages. When we have Montgomery County, DC, and Virginia, and everybody else at $15 an hour, we are losing good employees to the other counties, better customer service, because they are paying $15 an hour. Prince George's County needs to wake up, and we need to be paying quality wages. We need to set the example, raise the bar, and we need to be at $15 an hour. Transit development, we need development around our metro station. So very important that we have small businesses doing things around the metro station, making money. And last but not least, but most important, investment into our future generation of education, of training, which is so important, to make sure that our youth are not only engaged, educated, and empowered, but also they will be able to achieve and be meaningful and useful citizens, having skills that will last them for a lifetime as they will continue to be leaders. When I was raised as a 4-H'er, and one of the things we were taught was to have skills of using our hands, for, first of all, our heads for clear thinking, our hearts for greater loyalty, our hands for larger service, and our health for better living for our community, our country, and our world. We have to make sure that we're doing that and investing in the next generation to make sure that they are doing the same, that they're able to use their hands, that they're able to use their head for clear thinking, that they're able to have their heart serve our citizens and our community with greater loyalty, and that they have good health for better living right here in Prince George's County for our community. Again, I thank you guys so much, because I know how hard it is as elected official myself, but we have to do better for our citizens, for the next generation. So again, and don't forget, most of all, for our seniors who have already paved the way. So thank you so very much, Madam County Executive.
Thank you so much, School Board Member Queen. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to try to get Mr. Jamal Walker back in. Jamal Walker, are you there?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, I was trying to speak about the breed-specific legislation in PG County. I think it's a waste of the taxpayer money. I agree with Amy and Leah Schuler. And I think that there are other options that the county can do. In the United States and in Canada, they have repealed their BSL after proving factually the legislation was based in fear over facts, financially wasteful, and it did not yield any changes to citizen safety. If BSL worked, our shelters would not be overflowed with pit bulls. The breed-specific legislation does not stop ownership of these dogs. It simply pushes them into the shadow and invites irresponsible ownership and animal abuse without repercussion. Making a pit bull illegal reduces the vetting, exercising, socializing, and licensing of these dogs who are being discriminated against breed based on nothing other than their appearance. There is not a single breed of dog that is factually inherently dangerous. Professionals in animal behavior and animal experts have proven time and time again that each dog is an individual. It has been shown that many others of the fears surrounding these dogs a layperson would identify as a pit bull are based in urban legends, clickbait articles, and internationally fear-mongering propaganda. Additionally, it is impossible to determine a dog's breed based on visual assessment alone, which furthers the argument of how our county is determining what a pit bull is and which dogs are allowed to live in the county and which are not. The PG shelter staff and volunteers temper and test of all dogs, regardless of physical appearance, and note that most of these, which were looked at once and labeled as pit bulls, are genuinely great, friendly, people-loving animals. In PG, some of these dogs are lucky enough to be pulled by an animal rescue and moved to a neighboring county where they thrive in a loving home. Their successes after being adopted should be proof enough that no creature should be judged solely on appearance. No creature should have their life snuffed out based on how they look. People don't want to live in PG County, and people don't want to move to PG County because of the BSL law. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That is all for our speakers tonight, and I will send it back to our county executive.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for facilitating tonight. I also want to thank Stanley Early and the Office of Management and Budget and the entire team for your hard work. And most especially, I really want to extend a huge debt of gratitude to our residents who took the time tonight to be a part of this budget listening session. I want to assure you that I have listened to each of you. I've actually taken notes as well. And I'm really pleased to tell you that many of the priorities that you expressed tonight have already been included in our budget. And so I think you will be pleased that they are very much in alignment with the priorities you outlined. There are a number of others that expressed new concerns, and I want you to know that we have taken those to heart as well. But most especially, I just want to thank you so much for your engagement. Thank you so much for your commitment to our county. Because of you and because of your advocacy and your engagement, I am more optimistic than ever that we are going to be able to move our county forward in a way that really does reflect the values of this community. And you know, the best is yet to come. So we thank you again. Continue to stick with us. We're going to provide updates as we go along about the priorities. that we are pursuing. But I do want to thank all of you so much. We really do appreciate your time this evening. And thank you as well to all the other facilitators on the call, Brian, Amber, everyone else on the call. Thank our interpreters also, and everybody who helped us to have this budget listening session. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.